In the middle of the streets of the city of Chicago, where homeless people live among chaos and filth, Mary appeared again. Mary was a beautiful young American woman in her 20s, born into a wealthy family. She was holding $1,000 in her hand as she approached three homeless men who were standing there. Mary spoke to them boldly and said that she wanted one of them to spend the night with her, and in return, she would give him $1,000. Two of the homeless men were very happy with the offer. One of them said, "Of course, I would love that." The other said, "I want it too." The two of them immediately began to argue, each claiming he had agreed first. One said, "I was first," while the other replied, "No, I touched her hand first." At that moment, the third homeless man was sitting a short distance away, busy washing his clothes by hand and paying no attention to what was happening. Mary noticed this man who showed no interest in her offer, and she approached him, asking, "Why didn't you participate? Don't you care about getting $1,000? Without even looking at her, he replied firmly, "No, I don't want that money." Mary was shocked by his answer and said, "How can you be homeless and still not need this money?" The homeless man replied calmly, "I don't play games with women who buy men." Mary laughed sarcastically and said, "All right then, you will lose this money because of that attitude." She then continued, asking how much he would want in order to accept her offer, that he replied indifferently, "Take one of my friends with you instead." She insisted and asked, "What should I do so that you come with me?" He answered mockingly, "If you've decided that I'm the one you want, then I want $3,000, paid in full, to accept, without hesitation." Immediately, Mary pulled the money out of her purse and handed it to him, saying, "Here are the $3,000. The man looked at her in disbelief and asked if she was serious. Mary replied, "Yes, I don't mind giving you $3,000. Are you going to take it and come with me?" The homeless man looked at his friends, who urged him, "Accept the offer. Don't waste this much money." He then said, "No," he added, "give the money to my friends, and I will go with you for free." Mary was stunned by his strange request and stared at him in shock. Feeling a strange attraction toward him, she asked, "What does that mean? Are you serious?" He replied, "Yes, give the money to my friends, and I'll go with you without payment." She agreed, gave the money to his friends, and then told him to get into the car. His friends happily took the money and thanked him, telling him he had done the best thing possible. The man's name was Hamza. Hamza got into Mary's car, and they drove away. Shortly after, they arrived at the house of Mary's friend, a woman named Sarah. Both of them went inside. Mary told Hamza, "First, you need to take a quick shower." Hamza replied jokingly with a smile, "All right, as you wish, ma'am." Mary was surprised by his response. She then instructed the house staff to prepare the shower. After that, Mary sat with her friend Sarah in the living room. Sarah was holding a cup and asked Mary curiously, "So, who is this strange man you brought? I've never seen you act like this before." Mary answered quietly, "I want to teach my parents a lesson. They want me to marry a rich man who has no meaning in my life, someone I don't love. So I will attend the dinner with a homeless man." Sarah was shocked and said, "A homeless man?" Mary replied firmly, "Yes, a homeless man." Sarah was shocked and said, "Is he homeless?" Mary answered calmly, "Yes, he is homeless." Sarah planned something and said, "You don't hate him, do you?" But Mary replied seriously, "No, let's talk about this carefully." Then Mary continued happily, "For our plan to work, we need to turn this man into a handsome man." Sarah smiled and said, "Strange, but I love your idea." Just then, a bald man entered the room confidently. His name was Michael. He said, "Hello, Sarah." Sarah was surprised and said, "Oh, Michael, why are you here again?" Michael replied, "Yes, I came back again." Sarah said angrily, "This is the third time. You already took 2 months' rent. Are you trying to increase the rent again?" Michael replied coldly, "If you don't like it, you can leave the house completely." Suddenly, Zamsa entered the room, wearing a bathrobe with a towel wrapped around his head. "Wash away the bad things," he said jokingly. "Do you need more money?" Michael looked at Zamsa in shock and said, "Zamsa, what are you doing here?" Miri and Sarah looked at each other, confused. Zamsa replied sarcastically, "I was taking a shower." Then he lowered his voice and said to Michael, "If you want your wife to know what you've been doing, keep going. You were trying to cross the line with an innocent girl." Michael's face changed. He became nervous and worried. He said quickly, "No, Zamsa, I was joking. It was just a joke. I'm sorry. Sarah, the rent will stay as we agreed before." Then the bald man hurriedly left the room in panic. Miri looked at Zamsa in surprise and asked, "Do you know him?" Zamsa replied, "I know him from my past life. We knew each other before." Sarah interrupted and said gratefully, "Thank you so much. You saved us today." Zamsa smiled and said, "All right, what's the next step of the plan?" Sarah replied excitedly, "I think it's time to completely change your appearance." Zamsa smiled and said, "All right." Miri looked at Zamsa with affection and said softly, "Even though he's homeless, he's smart and attractive. He actually looks good even in casual clothes." Sarah teased her and said, "Really? Looks like love has fallen on you, my friend." Miri felt shy and replied proudly, "Do you really think I would fall in love with a homeless man? That's impossible." But inside, she asked herself, "What am I hiding? Why am I hiding my feelings?" Zamsa, whom Michael also knew, had become a strange secret she didn't want to reveal. Later, Miri was in her friend's house, angrily talking on the phone. "I hate him. Leave me alone, she shouted, then ended the call angrily. Suddenly, Zamsa appeared behind her and calmly asked, "Who were you talking to?" Mary turned around, surprised, but she couldn't finish her sentence. She was stunned by Zamsa's new look. He had shaved his beard neatly and looked clean, handsome, and confident, smiling warmly. Mary thought to herself, "I can't believe my eyes. He looks like a movie star or a model." Sarah entered the room and said in amazement, "Wow, what an incredible change." Then she added playfully, "He looks like someone I've seen before." Zamsa replied, "Maybe you saw me under bridges, where I used to sit with other poor people." Mary blushed slightly as she stared at him in disbelief. She handed Zamsa a suit and said, "This is the final touch." While Zamsa was changing clothes in a private room, he asked Mary, "Why do you need him?" Mary replied honestly, "My parents always try to force me to marry someone rich. They don't care about character, only money. They're always looking for someone wealthy." Zamsa asked, "Why are you against marrying a rich man?" Mary answered seriously, "Because I don't care how much money someone has. I want to love, not to show off." Zamsa smiled and said, "I understand you perfectly." Mary continued, "I want our parents to understand that how much money a person has these days is not what truly matters. They can only realize this when they understand that they cannot tell the difference between a rich man and a homeless man. But you are not an ordinary homeless man. What are you hiding?" Hamza replied calmly, "Does that really matter, Mary?" Mary quickly changed the subject and said, "We're in a hurry. We should leave now. Our parents are already waiting for us and want us to come." Hamza nodded and said, "All right, let's go." Mary and Hamza arrived at the luxurious restaurant where her parents were waiting. As they entered, Hamza gently stopped her and said softly, "May I?" Carefully and respectfully, he took off her winter jacket. Mary looked at him with quiet surprise, smiling warmly. Hamza broke the silence with a smile and said, "Go ahead." Mary smiled back and replied, "Okay." She walked toward the table where her parents were sitting, but suddenly the rich man, whom her parents had been insisting she marry, stood up in shock. Slamming his cutlery down, he shouted angrily, "Mom! Dad! What is this man doing here?" Her father tried to calm him down, gently stepping between them. But the rich man continued speaking with a fake smile. "We would like to know where this man came from and why he is still involved with her," he said. Mary looked at him with deep contempt and replied angrily, "You are nothing but an arrogant man. A man who was given everything without effort. You have no real achievements. You don't even deserve respect." Her mother intervened angrily. "Mary, this is not the right way to speak to an honorable and respectable man." The rich man exploded in anger and said coldly, "I will not accept being spoken to like this. I am giving you one last chance, Mary. If you refuse, I assure you that your father will lose the most important deal of his life. You will never be able to recover your family's business." "Is this a threat?" "Yes." At that moment, Hamza stepped forward from behind and said in a firm, calm voice, "I think it would be best if you leave now. This place is far above your level." The rich man froze. He turned toward Hamza, his eyes wide with shock. "What is this? I can't believe what I'm seeing. Mr. Hamza? You and Mary?" He then looked at Mary's parents in fear and said, "If we had known that Mary was involved with Mr. Hamza, we would never have dared to behave this way." With a trembling voice, he added, "Oh Allah, forgive us." He hurried out of the restaurant while everyone stared at him in disbelief. Mary turned to Hamza, stunned, and said, "Oh my God, you truly are an extraordinary homeless man." Her mother asked in shock, "A homeless man like this?" Hamza smiled calmly and said, "Good evening." Suddenly, Mary laughed and said, "So this is the secret you were hiding." Mary's father whispered to her mother, "He is one of the biggest millionaires in the world, yet he donates all of his wealth to charity." Hamza looked at Mary gently and said, "After I realized that everyone around me only cared about my money, I felt that the life of a homeless man was better than this life. Even families care more about money than about the person. I thought everyone was like that, until today, when I met someone who chose love over money." Then Hamza asked Mary to marry him. That moment, Mary realized she had finally found the man who truly loved her. She smiled at him with pure happiness, understanding that she would spend her life with the man who taught her the true value of real love. And here, today's story comes to an end. And if you enjoyed the story, my friend, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Also, leave your thoughts in the comments, because I always love to know what's on your mind.